All right. Today in cryptocurrency news, Huobi, the cryptocurrency exchange, is kicking out US customers, and Stellar Lumens just destroyed half of the total supply of Lumens that exist. Half are gone. All this and more here at Altcoin Daily, where you subscribe for a video on cryptocurrency every day. My name's Austin, and like always, let's start with Bitcoin. I want to turn you on to a podcast which just dropped yesterday. 60 minutes of valuable information. I'm going to link this entire podcast down in the description. And in this episode, PlanB himself discusses every single reason why his model, Bitcoin stock-to-flow model, could potentially be wrong. Now, just to quickly catch everybody up, this model is predicting the price of Bitcoin based on its scarcity, and it's been pretty dead-on accurate for the last 10 years. And this is a model they use in precious metals, stock-to-flow, stock being the amount of Bitcoin, in this case, that we have in existence today, to the flow, the amount of Bitcoin that will be mined into existence over the next 100+ years. And because Bitcoin is a harder money than gold, we know the exact flow. We know when the halvings are going to take place, and because of that, by May 2020, the next halving, the price of Bitcoin should be, well, let them tell you.
Let's call out some of the high-level numbers that you are, in some sense, predicting, or at least the model is predicting, let's say. So there are a couple of different numbers, and I believe you've got the 2020 halving, so approximately May 2020. Now, it doesn't mean it'll hit exactly that number then, but roughly. You've got 55,000 for then. I think it's roughly 400,000 for the 2024 halving, and then 3 million for 2028. Is that a fair summary, you would say?
Yeah, that's correct. And
wow, there was pretty hefty, pretty exciting predictions. But you know this model. What you don't know is every reason potentially that PlanB's stock-to-flow model could potentially fail. And they go over an hour's worth of arguments why it could. I want to play you two 90-second clips that I think are pretty insightful. Now, the first is probably one of the biggest knocks against the Bitcoin stock-to-flow model, and it's the one that PlanB himself puts the most credit into, which is the price is potentially already priced in. Check this out.
One other big critique that might be good to address at this point is the why is it not priced in idea. Now, one suggestion could be that most or everyone who knows about it is already invested as much as they reasonably can. But what's your view there?
Yeah, if I were to give a Steelman argument against the model, and I'm constantly looking for good arguments against the model because that's how I learn and that's how I know I'm investing the correct way. If I were to give a Steelman argument, it would be this argument. If the relationship is true and if the information is out there as it is since March, or even earlier about the halvings should be priced in a reasonably efficient market. So this would be my ultimate argument against the model, and it's the one thing I do not understand why it is not priced into. It's not priced in the halvings, and it was also Nick Szabo's ultimate argument against the stock-to-flow model in his tweet last week.
Interesting. So the price of Bitcoin could be priced in. That's a possibility. But let me play you the rest of the clip where PlanB argues against that and says, well, here's probably 3 reasons why it's not priced in. Number 1, the markets are too small / inefficient. Number 2, the information's just not out there. Or number three being the reason, and I'm not a financial advisor, but number 3 being the reason that I don't think it is priced in, at least for a few more cycles. Listen to this.
So for my first reaction would be, okay, markets are not efficient. Bitcoin is small with its 150 billion market cap. It's small, so maybe it's not efficient. But on the other hand, if you look at currencies and Bitcoin, it's very efficient. I don't think that's the thing. The other thing would be, okay, the information is not out there for everybody. For example, new investors won't know immediately about the stock-to-flow model, so they don't know about it and they don't price it in. And maybe some of the current investors don't know yet about the model, although the model spreads like wildfire. So I think most of the investors right now know. But then the other argument, and that's the simplest argument, and I think that's the true one, is that there's lots of people that do not believe in the model, in the stock to flow relationship. So I put a tweet out yesterday with 3 well-known Bitcoin people that are against the stock to flow model, with good arguments as well. I don't think they hold, but there are good arguments that you can follow and believe, and then you would be against the stock to flow model and not invest. So I guess it's just a normal market situation where there's not much people that really believe in the model, which is very interesting and a nice investment opportunity.
Yeah, that's well, for everyone who is a believer, I guess that's their opportunity. Let's turn now.
Again, very interesting. I like that. I appreciate that perspective. And I agree that not a lot of people know about this model yet. Forget about the average person. You go into a fund manager's office, regular financial people, they probably have heard of Bitcoin, but how many would know about the stock to flow model? Time will tell. The last thing I want to leave you with before we get to Stellar Lumens, my main takeaway after listening to all 59 minutes, and again, this whole episode linked down in the description, check it out, is the stock to flow model might not be viable forever because Bitcoin will be mined for the next 100 years, but we have a halving in May 2020, we have a halving 4 years later, and 4 years after that. If you're asking Plan B personally, here's how many cycles, how many halvings he thinks the stock to flow model will be accurate.
And then 3 million for 2028. Is that a fair summary, you would say?
Yeah, that's correct. And because of the tight fit and the co-integration, it's at least reasonable to believe that it will hold for 1 or 2 more halvings. And the numbers you mentioned are absolutely correct.
Right.
I'd love it. Now, it might not last forever, but a couple more halvings into 2020, into 2028. I think Bitcoin is in store for some excitement. Going to be a great decade. Like the video if you want to support me. Get this information out to as many people as possible. But first piece of news, Stellar Lumens. The foundation that's in control of Stellar Lumens, the Stellar Foundation, just destroyed, wiped out forever half of the total supply of the Stellar Lumen cryptocurrency. So if you hold Stellar, how does this affect you? Well, the Stellar Development Foundation has just burned 55 billion of its XLM tokens, over half of the cryptocurrency supply. CEO Danielle Dixon announced from the stage of the Stellar Meridian conference on Monday, so yesterday. So the exact specs on this coin now is previously there had been 105 billion XLM coins in existence, with only 20 billion in circulating supply. With this burn, the total supply has now shrunk to 50 billion. So if we head on over to CoinMarketCap, Stellar Lumens, let me refresh just to be sure. Yes, the total supply has not updated yet, but 55 billion of these were cut, destroyed, and now the total supply is closer to 50 billion, with the circulating supply still being 20 billion. So why did they do it? Well, in a direct quote, "We didn't start by wanting to burn. We started by asking, what do we need?" Dixon told the room of roughly 200 attendees. As much as we wanted to use all of the lumens that we held, it was very hard to get them into the market. And if they would have put all of the total supply into the market, price would have tanked, obviously. The price is rising, obviously, because we cut some of the supply and the demand stayed the same. Maybe it increased, so the price is currently up. But the organization decided, instead of holding on to all those lumens, that it was better to project how much the company could actually use over a 10-year period and calibrate to that number. In a direct quote, "To derive a plan from an arbitrary number serves no purpose," Dixon said. So I don't know if she's saying that the original 105 billion, was that an arbitrary number? I guess it was. And this number didn't change. The circulating supply, about 20 billion, still stayed the same. The total supply cut to 50 billion. Well, how much does the company, the Stellar Foundation, how much of this 50 billion do they control now? Well, the foundation now controls 30 billion XLM. They list right here what they plan to use that 30 billion for, ecosystem support, 10 billion to make investments. But the supply of XLM is now fixed because the community of token holders voted to discontinue inflation on October 28th. So I guess the point is, the Stellar Development Foundation will not burn any additional lumens. Now, the price is up, so I guess everybody that holds Stellar thinks this is a good thing. I don't even know the potential impact this could have. I guess the negative, yes, the positive is it props up the price. The negative is, do they think they can reach mass adoption if they're getting rid of half of what they created? But who knows? This is quite uncalled for. When we get new information, I will keep you updated. The last piece of news, Huobi Global to freeze US customer accounts by mid-November. Now, specifically, if you are on Huobi Global and you're from the US, they're freezing these accounts on November 13th. And every day before that is a grace period for you to cash out, essentially. So this is exactly what Binance did. Huobi seems to be following Binance, and also much like Binance. However, Huobi Global will not exit the US market altogether, but rather nudge its US customers towards its exclusive US strategic partner, the San Francisco-based HBus, which this channel told you about when this launched last year, a platform dedicated to serving the US-based customers. Similar to Binance US, HBus runs and operates independently from the larger exchange, but it's the kid. Huobi Global would be the parent company, I would say. And why are exchanges doing this? Well, in the announcement, Huobi states that the American regulatory environment for cryptocurrencies has forced it to prohibit US-based users from the platform. So stay wary, stay woke. This channel will keep you updated. And that is the video for today. Let me know what you think about any of this. Feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. And like always, I'll see you tomorrow.